From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello. Welcome, listeners. It's great to have you here on another exciting episode of the Badass Counseling Show, whether you are tuning in from the Susquehanna River Valley or down all the way up, not down, up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, from Bath to Brisbane, Pretoria to Peoria, from Småland and Skåne to Seattle and San Antonio. It's great to have you here. I am joined by my team in studio. I have Rob the Rocket and I have Casey, who has been unleashed from the booth by her own choosing. I have my full complement of my team here. How you doing today, guys?
Great. How are you?
Lovely. Rob?
Never too old to heal the soul.
Amen, brother. Wow, you're so fucking poetic. I love you, man. Love you both. So I have the full team here, and I'm going to engage my full team. But let's hear about Sybil, Rob. And for the record, see if you can guess where Sybil is from. Go ahead, Rob.
All right then, Sven. Sybil did write in, and she said this: 44-year-old mama here with 2 adult sons and a 12-year-old daughter. I've been on a healing journey since discovering you, your podcast, your book, and TikTok 5 years ago. Your work helped me end a 23-year-long marriage to an emotionally stunted, controlling, and physically abusive man to not only me, but to our 3 children. After ideating suicide for 40 years of my life as a coping mechanism and struggling with an awful and hurtful childhood and marriage, I have now found some peace and healing and look very much forward to the next 53 years of life. I'm on my 3rd round of your book. The first time I did all the work. The last 2 times I've just been taking it all in. However, I am stuck on one thing that is preventing me from moving forward completely and freely. I feel I've let my children down, not only by staying with their abusive father, but also offering them an unhealed, watered-down version of a mother. My unhealed 6-year-old self raised my children. How can I move forward in peace, knowing my children are still struggling due to my own choices and actions? Please help. Thanks a billion bunches.
Well, you're welcome, Sybil. It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Sven. It's a real privilege to be here today.
Privilege is ours to have you here and sharing your story. Thank you for opening up. So we're just going to sort of peck these things out in the order that you present them. You presented basically one primary question, that your inability to move forward. And we're going to get to that in about 2 minutes. But before we do that, in your opening paragraph, you talk about how, you had sort of encountered all of my work online and on social and my team's work on the podcast and so forth. And you talk about how that enabled you to leave your marriage and so forth. And I guess my real question is, in leaving your marriage to an emotionally stunted, controlling, and physically abusive man who is abusive not just to you, but to your 3 children, what for you, in one sentence or less, kind of a hard question perhaps, maybe not, what for you was the single hardest thing for you to get over? What was the hardest hump that you had to clear to finally do it? I mean, there's so many things. There's not just one, but what was the hardest one for you?
To be honest, the night that I ended my marriage wasn't difficult because he'd actually put our middle child in hospital. So I'd already been 4 months into the journey of listening to your book and doing the work, and I actually found that night very easy, like the easiest in all the 23 years. It was my 7th attempt, and I knew that night it would be a successful attempt.
Okay, but why was that one different? That implies that you had already cleared the hurdle inside of yourself, and I want to know what that hurdle was inside of you that gave yourself permission or that gave you clarity, or from your own past that you had to heal or shift or reinterpret it. What fundamentally had to change inside of you in one sentence or less for you to finally, whether it was find your strength, give yourself permission, hear your own voice clearly, stand up and find your fuck it, whatever it was, what ultimately had to be changed inside of you that finally did?
I had to see that he wasn't the only toxic one, that it took 2, and I knew that I was unhealthy staying there. Absolutely.
And what do you think was the fundamental reason for you staying there? What was the unhealthy part of you that kept you staying there, in one sentence or less?
I craved his love. I craved to be loved by him.
And so how was it you were able to get over your craving his love?
Finding your book and your podcast helped me find love within myself for myself and for my children. I really seen that things needed to be better for all of us.
And so to finally be able to love yourself, what was the belief inside of you that you had to overcome in order to finally be able to love yourself? Because, I mean, let's be honest, you had suicidal ideation for 40 years of your life. That means you've had it literally your entire life up until 4 years ago, presumably, or it started when you were 4, however you want to slice it. So what was the fundamental shift inside of you that you had to squelch or get rid of outside of you so that you could finally love yourself? What was the message inside of you that had to be overcome?
That I wasn't lovable, and I, in fact, realized that I was.
How about that? And what enabled you to finally see that? What was the realization or the revelation or the insight that enabled you to finally see I am lovable?
Going back as a 40-year-old woman and holding the hand of my 4-year-old self through every single awful traumatic event I went through as a little girl. I literally, 40-year-old me, went back and held 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old little me's hand, and I relived every traumatic experience, but I gave myself what I needed at the time.
And while you were reliving those traumatic experiences, were you simultaneously, obviously, a massive amount of feelings were coming up, were you releasing those, flushing those while you were doing it? Doing the journaling and so forth? Crying,
journaling,
raging,
and cradling myself.
Wow. Yep. How happy was that 4-year-old little girl to see you?
She was so happy. It truly was. And it felt really good.
Of course it did. She was finally safe. Someone was finally coming to protect her.
100%.
And so, just out of curiosity, as long as we're on that stream of 44-year-old you, although if you started it 5 years ago and 3 years ago and 2 years ago and 1 year ago, let's say 39-year-old you, 40-year-old you went back to 4-year-old you. So let's say there was a 36-year split. When you let's say you did it first when you were 40, you went back to your 4-year-old self. So there was a 36-year split. Well, you are 44 years old now. So let's add 36 to that. That would be 80. So let's assume that your 80-year-old self is coming to you right now. And she's coming behind you, and she's rubbing your back, and she's stroking your hair.
Yeah.
And she's touching you with the most knowing touch that no one else on God's green earth could possibly know, because she is the 80-year-old version of you. She is the wise old woman that you will become.
Yeah.
What, in one sentence or less, is she saying to you?
That I showed incredible strength, that I really flipped the fucking tables. I flipped them. I'm a very different woman today than I was 4 years ago.
So that 80-year-old woman still has a tongue on her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Flip those fucking tables. Okay, so then let me ask you this then. So then let's power that into the question that you raised. All right, let's keep the 80-year-old woman is still in that room with you. And you say, I'm stuck on one thing that is preventing me from moving forward completely and freely. I feel I've let my children down, not only by staying with their abusive father, but also suffering them, an unhealed, watered-down version of a mother. My unhealed 6-year-old self raised my children. How can I move forward in peace, knowing my children are still struggling due to my own choices and actions? So now that 80-year-old self has turned you around in your chair and has stood you up, and she is holding you like you've never been held before. It's not your 4-year-old self holding you where she needed you. Now it's your 80-year-old self where you need her, and she is there strictly to love on you, and she is stroking your hair, and she's whispering in your ear, and she has a warmth that you've never felt from anyone, and you never will feel again, because it is you. What is she saying to you now, at your age, at 44? What is your 80-year-old self saying to you regarding this struggle inside of you and this clearly guilt you feel, this unrest in your soul? What is your wise old self saying to you?
That I overcome so much and I did the best I could with what I had. And I'm strong. I feel like I did it.
And what is she saying regarding all the guilt?
I'm assuming that she would be telling me
It's you. You
that
don't
I
even
needed
have
to
to
let it
assume.
go.
You would know her better than anyone. No one can answer this question better than you. What would your 80-year-old old woman self say to you? What would she whisper in your ear as she's holding you deeply?
To have compassion and empathy for myself, and that I need to let the guilt go. I needed to let it go.
I'm going to give you a few words. You've probably heard me say them before from another old woman who raised 6 kids. This is my own mother. And my own mother had a very strong father and a very strong mother. My grandmother, my mother's mother, she, in her 70s, long after her husband had passed away, she went and she lived as the wise old woman on the reservation of the Mdewakanton Sioux and the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe on the west side of Lake Mille Lacs in northern Minnesota as their wise old woman on a full-blooded Swede on the reservation of Native Americans. 2 nations sort of shared space. In her 80s, she went and she lived as the wise old woman on a Jewish Christian commune. So this is a tough old bat. And she had endured winters on the plains of Minnesota on farmland. And so my mother grew up with this as a mother, and her father very, very tough. And these were tough people. And Mom recalls being sort of, I don't know what the word would have been, whipped, I guess, with a switch from a willow tree that they had in the yard and so forth. And she didn't talk a lot about her childhood, but she came from a rough childhood. And she knows that she was, in the raising of us children, even though she herself was literally an expert in the field of early childhood education, taught at the graduate level. She knows that she was overcoming a lot. And she often to me in her 60s and her 70s spoke to me about the guilt she felt in her raising of me, and a little bit about her raising of her siblings, but my siblings, but she didn't want to betray confidences. And she said, I recall in her late 70s, she says, Sven, I wish I would have forgiven myself decades ago. I've carried this guilt. And I realize I've not only robbed myself of life, but I've robbed your children of it, because in a way I was still acting as a child by allowing my feelings to consume me rather than, and my mother was a Christian woman, and so she said, rather than accepting the forgiveness that God grants me, and rather than letting it go and allowing you children to know what a free and happy and alive, forgiven mother can be. So in a way, and I don't mean to put a further burden on you, but you're robbing your children again by carrying around this guilt. And at some point, even your 80-year-old self is saying you have to give yourself compassion.
I just feel like I'm living in a clean home while I've left theirs messy.
Okay. Well, that's fair. See, now we're dealing with today's problems. We can deal with today's problems, but if we're talking about yesterday's problems, those are done. Now we have to deal with, yes, the problems we created. And I failed my kids. Rob openly admits that he made mistakes in his parenting. Casey openly admits that she made mistakes in her children and the rearing of her children. So you're not alone in this. But now, and those affect our children today, but that can be healed. That can be atoned for. How old are your children, Sybil?
22, 26 are my sons, and my daughter's 12.
Oh, wow. That's a drop off. 26, 22, and 12.
Yeah.
Okay. You healed at 40 years old, 39, 40, up to 44.
I started my healing journey, yes.
Right. I'll bet you would have killed to start that at 22.
Yes.
Right. Every single one of my clients says, I would have killed to do this 10, 20, 40 years ago. Right. So there is so much hope for your children. Let me ask you this. What is the single biggest thing you see in your children that you see this struggle most? I'm betting you see at least in your youngest and perhaps most in your boys.
The boys have substance abuse. They're not 100% stable. The 26-year-old has gone no contact with me for 2 years due to me pulling him up and calling him out on being a severe domestic violence perpetrator of his own young lady of 10 years. I'd say more so than his father ever abused me. So there has been strong indicators that I've let my babies down. Neither of any of them have got their dad in their lives today. So there is still things there. There's still there's still messes to be cleaned.
All right. I'm going to ask you a really hard question. If you were to be totally honest with me, and I believe you are being it, but I'm just putting an exclamation point on that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the case of the son who is no contact, with regard to his no contact, what percent of his being no contact, in terms of the pain of the no contact, what percent of the hurt is because you don't get to have a relationship with him? And what percent of it is that he's struggling?
I'd say 90% because I know he's struggling, 10% no relationship. As I've really journaled and you've taught, I would prefer my children to have no relationship with me and be healed than not. But I know that he hasn't turned me away to heal.
Is there any contact whatsoever between you and that son?
No.
Zero. And that has been the case for 2 years. He does not want you in his life at present. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's 2 years. And then with the second son, what is the situation?
He's been reaching out in recent weeks. He's just told me I'm in the middle of a huge journey at the moment and relocating. And he's told me that, he's incredibly proud of me. He's starting to ring me for things that are just to let me know what's going on in his day. And 6 weeks ago, the young man told me he was loving me from a distance. I've always remained accountable with my children, and since walking out of the marriage, I have always let my children know that I am incredibly and deeply sorry, and that one of them being put in hospital should not have been the beginning of me keeping them safe. I have been so accountable. I really have. I've told them they've got rocks that don't belong to them that are mine.
Beautiful. Okay, great. You're hitting all the marks. And when he calls those calls, the call alone feels great. And so presumably if he's been reaching out the last few weeks, that implies that he was much more distant before that. Is that right?
Yes, in probably the last 6 to 8 months.
Okay. So then what you're telling me is that children change.
Yes, absolutely.
So if we can take any sort of lesson from your younger, it is reasonable that can perhaps be overlaid onto the older. And that what a person is at 26 is perhaps not their final destiny.
Yeah.
Is perhaps not the final reckoning. And so I can tell you from personal experience that I have had clients who went through hell as children. And inside of them, they forever long for a connection. They forever long, and they want the connection because what they're wanting is confirmation of their worth. That was what was stolen from them in their childhood, in the abuse, in the feeling unprotected, which I know you've felt guilty for, obviously. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying the things you've said. And so that day may come. And when that day comes, you will respond very similarly to how you're responding with your second son presently.
Mm-hmm.
And that is you will, atone and you will speak more of what you're saying and so forth, it's very important, and I'm sure you're doing this already with that second son, keep the focus on him. Ask him questions to the degree he's comfortable answering. And I don't mean prying type questions, but how are you?
Yeah.
Versus making it about you and your feelings. Oh, I feel so bad, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Because then it's just confirmation. It's still about mom.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So you need to, even if you go bawl your eyes out later or whatever, what's going on with you? How can I help you? Or maybe the conversations, maybe you're feeling him out and he wants to keep it light.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But he clearly is longing for that connection, that desire to know that there is someone in this world that loves me. To know that the connection is still there with his mother, and clearly he gets something out of that relationship. Or what he gets out of it is feeling somewhat responsible for you. Him saying, I'm proud of you, Mom. Could be that he feels some sense of responsibility, which isn't necessarily the best thing in the world, but if it keeps him connected and it gives him a sense of purpose at 22, hey, that's a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good starting point. Make him feel, a bit like a man, like I'm taking care of my mom. The thing you have to understand, though, with 20-year-olds, late teens and 20-somethings, especially boys, they're not likely to open up and share a lot of feelings. Okay? So you having a 26-year-old that's emotionally shut down and is like, fuck you, Ma,
Yep.
I'm not surprised. You having 20-somethings with substance abuse issues, it's not extraordinarily out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
First of all, if I get a parent telling me, oh, my kid's in college or they're fresh out of college and they're going crazy and they're drinking too much or smoking too much weed, I tell them, that's not, yes, you have every reason for concern. Yes, I'm not just whitewashing it, but on the other hand, it's not abnormal. Now, you layer onto it the abuse. Yeah, your kids have demons inside, but in your 20s, most kids are not ready to look at that stuff. They still believe I can power through. And I've had enough clients from down under, male clients from down under, to know that there is a very strong, for a lot of guys, there is a very strong, be tough about it, right? It's not that much different from the U.S. And, but give it time, Mom. You're doing great.
My 22-year-old's quite sharing. He's quite an emotional,
Beautiful.
He's very sharing.
And so if he's sharing with you, that implies that he still sees you as safe, that he feels comfortable, he feels warmth from you.
Yes, yes.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I want to explore the deepest part of what you wrote in, and it impacts what we've been talking about. I want to get into the deepest part right after we come back from this short break.
My wife pushed me to watch this guy's TikTok videos, so I finally caved in, and holy crap, blew me away. I started watching more, and every time he opens his mouth, I get blown away in a whole new way. So I finally bought his book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. To say I got an ass kicking is an understatement. Much needed. It was like having my own personal tough therapist who just gets it. So go do yourself a favor. Get There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It's powerful stuff.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
Sybil, I want to go way afield of what we've been talking about and then sort of bring it back around. To a lot of people, not to me, but to a lot of people, it would be this crazy, like hard to get their head around sort of crazy, not like woohoo, crazy. And you say, after ideating suicide for 40 years of my life, okay, for a lot of people, just letting that one soak in, they probably missed 3/4 of the rest of your paragraph. Just thinking about that right there. You are a 44-year-old mama, and you had been ideating suicide for 40 years of my life. Which 40 years? Was it age 2 to 42? Was it 4 to 44? Which years? And I realize you may have rounded up on the 40, but can you tell me when it started and roughly when it went away or faded or what have you?
I would say probably as a 3-4-year-old, I wished I wasn't here and really started thinking about suicide as an 11, 12-year-old. Seeing it as an exit. And that's why I was able to get by every day, because on my most toughest days, I would reassure myself that if it really got too bad, I had a way out.
I get that. I was, as you've heard me say on the show before, I know you listen. I was in a 12-year suicidal depression, which is nothing, and mine did not start at 3 or 4. And then it ended sort of, when did you come out of that? Do you feel like you are fully out of it? How often do you think about it now?
Absolutely. I don't at all. So the week I turned 40, like a few days after I turned 40, I looked in the mirror and I knew that something had to change. I was such a bright, bubbly person inside. I knew I was full of joy, and I wanted it back. I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be joyful and positive. And that's when my life really turned, and I'm talking in weeks, months, very quickly.
And what was I'm just curious, what was sort of, you realized I want it different. What was the sort of action statement of sort of what you had to do?
I knew I was here for a lot longer and I couldn't keep living like that every day. I couldn't keep living wishing I wasn't here anymore. It was going to be a long bloody life sentence if I didn't change shit.
So I need to change shit.
Yep.
It's funny you say that, because what's at the end of, I had been bleeding out my wrists for 45 minutes and then fully an hour. And then I realized, and my grand revelation was just, I need to choose differently. That was it.
Yeah.
It was it was nothing clever. It was just that, which is, I like the way you said it. I got to change shit. I like yours better, but it's the same thing, isn't it? And so this notion then of a 3 or 4-year-old wishing I wasn't here, you said. Why does a 3 or 4-year-old, help my audience understand why a 3 or 4-year-old would wish they weren't here already at that age? What the hell was going on in your life that you were already wishing you weren't here?
I believe my mother was on the 4th or 5th man in my life. I'd already been babysat by a grandfather who was a sexual predator, and my mother knew that and would put me in his care.
Oh.
I just felt so unworthy, so unloved. My mum would continue to choose men for herself. Yeah, violent men that she kept in our lives.
Violent to just her or to you as well?
No, to all of us. Yeah, there was a lot of floggings. There was a lot of yuck. I was, as a 7, 8-year-old, I was cleaning up blood and vomit and all sorts of things that were going on in my home. Things I should never have had to have been put through, ever.
Of course. And so then, I know this may sound odd, but it's an honest question. Why did it take until you were 11 or 12 before you sort of realized, I can kill myself, where it actually became suicide versus I just don't want to be here?
My mother was suicidal my whole life. There were many, many, many suicide attempts in my childhood. There was the slashing of her wrists. There was pill popping. There was so much. So maybe mimicking, I'm not sure. I just, often when she did her suicide attempts, some of them in front of me, she would say, finally, out loud, I'm on my way out. This is going to come to an end, which I dare say I picked up on, that if we did this, it could come to an end. Not that it ever did for her via suicide. It never did.
In front of me. Well,
yes.
I have to open it up to my team here. KC, Rob, thoughts on grandfather was allowed to babysit me, and she knew he was a sexual predator. Mom had 4 or 5 men by the time I was 4 years old. Many of them were violent. They would be violent against all of us. By 7 or 8, I'm cleaning up blood and vomit. Mom had many suicide attempts, and she would occasionally do them in front of me. Anything on that? Either of you? Thoughts? Questions? Anything?
I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when she started telling her story was just this is the typical look at generational trauma. The mom, the grandfather, the mom passes it on to the daughter. It's now passed on to the son, who's beating a woman who might have experienced the same thing. It's just from one generation to the next. And she's right now in the middle of trying to break that cycle. And it's not an easy thing to do. And I'm amazed at her courage. I had a question for you. You had stated that, when your son was sent to the hospital, or your child was sent to the hospital, that you had happened on one of Sven's videos. And I'm just wondering what in that video, what in that moment when those two things came together, I guess I want to use the word snapped you out of the trance you were in and into this idea of, I got to change shit.
I'd already found love within inside myself then, and I just know that my children needed better protecting, like to see my son covered in blood. And I knew things I just knew things were not going to change for us, for me or my children, that in fact had gotten worse. It had, in fact, in 23 years, it was just peaking. Like it was, he put one of our babies in hospital.
Okay, but let's address one thing, and that is the massive amount of fear that you must have had inside of you. I would think, so many people who are victims of domestic violence say, it's easy to say, oh, you should protect your kids and get them the hell out of there. But you have no idea, if you've never been there, you have no idea how terrifying it is to be in that situation. But then let me ask you, maybe you weren't terrified. Maybe because you had grown up in it, you were inured to it. You were like, I'm used to this, or, it's like, well, fuck this shit. Or was it that you were terrified? What kept you in it for so long? Help us to understand.
So he was mostly physically violent to our children. He realised 4 months before putting our young son in hospital that I was changing. He could see and feel that usually things that would make me upset and distress me that he would do, stop distressing me and making me upset. And I could see the night that he put our son in hospital, he was punishing me. He knew that he would be able to do things to our children, but that I would go to the room with my children and cry and apologise to them and tell them that what their father had just done was unacceptable and not right. I know the night he put my young son in hospital, I know he was punishing me. He knew I was leaving his grasp. He knew that. I was 4 months into your book. I was already changing, and I knew that night was punishment. That was one last grip of me.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And you've heard me say it before that once the person of lesser power begins to truly change, the other person can feel it.
Yes,
they can sense it.
Yep.
And because they realize, as you said, they're losing control. I want to circle back to this notion of your mother and all of these things that conditioned you. She perfectly set you up for this marriage.
Yes.
Let's be honest. And Dad presumably he was gone, I assume.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so then you've got all these men, and you've got Mom clearly not only not protecting you, literally putting you in the care of a sexual predator, knowingly.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mom's a real fucking piece of work. So I have to ask, and I have to ask, what was in your work, or what is presently well, first, let me ask this before I ask that question. Do you presently have a relationship with your mother?
My mother passed 2 years ago.
Got it. And then prior to her passing, or since her passing, what was or is your level of looking back on all of this and seeing it with clear eyes? What was or is your level of hatred for your mother?
In my early 20s, very, very hateful towards her. Like I literally was telling people in my 20s, like if she died, I'd piss on her grave. I left my mum as about a 21-year-old and didn't walk back into her life till around 40, till I started flipping the tables. I thought maybe I can go back in now and just love her for who she is and accept her for who she is. But as I parted my marriage and continued to spend more time with her and continued on your book and continued on my listening journey and working on myself, I looked at my mum 2 years after I ended my marriage, 18 months, and I just thought, oh my bloody God, like I married this man because of you. Like I could see clearly she was him, he was her. And then I walked out about a year before she died.
Okay.
I walked out freely.
So you had, if I might, is it reasonable to assume that and you tell me, no, that's not at all, or tweak it, whatever you want, but is it reasonable to assume that your understanding of your mother when you were in your 20s versus your understanding of your mother when you were in your early 40s is radically different? Or did you, her, not just who she is, but everything, truly the true fullness of what she did? Did you truly get it in your 20s? Could you have fully gotten it? Do you understand it infinitely better now? The enormity, the depth of what she did. Do you understand it much more significantly now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then where I'm going, then I want to go back to the hate question. Recognizing that the cleaning of the soul demands the cleaning of all of the emotion, which you did. You're an animal. You went back into all your traumatic events and you allowed them all up. That's badass.
Yes.
And flushing out all the emotions, that is badass. And I would love it if so many people tore a lesson from that page book and did that, because that just does so much healing. But I asked you about hate and you said, yes, I hated her back in my 20s. But then you just went on to say, but I understand so much more now, the depth of all the shit she did. Yes. Better in my 40s. So then my question is, so have you hated her in your 40s?
No.
Because there would be far more hate, new hate, rage, anger, disappointment, betrayal. Not just hate, but all of it, so much more now, because now you get it at a way you never could as a 20-year-old. So is it possible there is a second vault inside of the original vault that the deepest and most powerful shit may be still in, that you couldn't have touched when you were in your 20s because you didn't even know it existed, because you still didn't fully understand the situation?
Well, I hated her a lot before I made contact with her after 40, but I was journaling all that out. I think I probably only hate Mum 10% now, but I have compassion. I'm very aware of her childhood. She shared that with me as a 10, 11-year-old.
Right. Okay. Fair.
What was more, she wasn't accountable.
God bless you. Wait a minute. You'll forgive me from where I am sitting. I am struggling with the fact that you can have compassion for a woman that puts you with a sexual predator, a woman that commits suicide in front of you more than once, that has you cleaning up blood and vomit at age 7, that has these violent men. Wait a minute. Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
That you can have compassion for her, but you can't have compassion for yourself as the mother of your own children. You'll forgive me if my little fucking pea brain really kind of struggles with that one. I need you to fucking explain that one. And I love you. You know I love you, Sybil. So I'm sort of putting your feet to the fire here. How do you explain that your compassion is so magnanimous that you can understand, I understand dear old mom and all she went through, but you can't bring that same level of compassion to all you went through and exonerate yourself and forgive yourself?
I started to see Mum as a 3-year-old, as a 4-year-old. She shared deeply her childhood with me.
Understood. But yes, you've made that clear. But why? The point is, why aren't you applying that same level of compassion to your own parenting? We opened the entire show by talking about the guilt that you feel over your parenting or your own children. I'm struggling, I feel heavy, I don't have peace. How can you not apply that same level of compassion to yourself? You are still forgiving her, you're protecting her over yourself.
My mum was so naive, never apologized and was never accountable for my whole children's lives. So as a 20-year-old mama, as a 22-year-old mama, as a 28-year-old mama, I knew we were in a shit place. I would literally go and say to my sons, I am so sorry. I would literally say to my husband, you are hurting us. You are hurting our babies. So I knew. I don't think she was ever aware. She didn't have an awareness.
You don't think she was aware of what? That she was committing suicide in front of her own children? That she was bringing violent men into her home? You think your mother was so fucking stupid? You're saying you had a profoundly dumb mother. You think she is so dumb that she would put a sexual predator to babysit her daughter and not even think anything about it. Nothing bad's going to happen. She was so, you are saying your mother is that dumb.
Mum's an extreme taker. Mum was an extreme taker.
But wait a minute. That's different from not knowing. Did she know and do it anyway? Or did she not know? She was just so stupid. How do you explain? Because you're basically saying, I don't think she knew. That implies stupidity. She didn't know that these men that she was bringing in were beating you. She didn't know that. And she didn't know that that was bad.
Beating her more than us, but maybe. I think I just have less compassion for myself.
She knew she was leaving you with your grandfather.
That's what I said.
She knew she was leaving you with him. So that was I was going to ask you before, was he abusing your mom before you?
Yes, he was. I have 4 uncles and a mother, and they were all raped on a constant basis by that man.
And so let me ask you, when you are being understanding of your mom's childhood.
Yeah.
Which she told you about when you were 11, you told us that.
Yep.
Was one of the things she told you about that she was raped by her father?
Well, she actually says that she wasn't raped by him, but I just don't believe it to be true because she said her 4 brothers were. But, you know, the nights that he would babysit me, he would put my brother to bed and keep me awake. So I always said to Mum, I feel it's something that you've blocked out. So she never actually admitted. She said, I just don't remember him doing that to me. But she knew very well that he did it to her 4 brothers. And I just...
Wait. And did she see it when she told you that story of this horrible childhood where her own father is molesting her brothers?
Yes.
Did she see that molestation as a bad thing?
Yes.
Wait. So she understands fully that the molestation of a child is bad. She understands that incest, which is what that is bad and has a bad effect on the child. And then, to Casey's point, then she says, but fuck it. Let's bring the old man in and he can babysit you and your brother. Fuck it. So she's not stupid. She knew.
Okay,
She knew that is bad for a child. She knew. Yeah. And she did it anyway. That is not lack of knowledge. That is a fuck you. I don't care about you, the child.
Yeah.
So then part of your healing journey is to learn to say, fuck you, Mom. You knew what the fuck was going on and you didn't care.
And it seems, and so where we're going with this, Sybil, you need to understand, first of all, I have so much respect for all the work that you've done.
Thank you.
I have so much respect for the light that you are becoming and wanting to be for your children and just wanting to be for yourself.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for that and I love you for that. I mean that. But you came on the show and you know I bust balls on the show, all right? But only if it'll help. Yeah. All right. So the reason I'm sort of busting your chops here is because I think you're still protecting your mom. And I think you are doing it at the expense of yourself because you are capable of unleashing hell on yourself every day and the guilt that you feel over how you raised your children. But you are still exonerating your mom. And you yourself said, my knowledge of the damage that mom did was far more as a 40-year-old than it was as a 20-year-old, which implies that you would have with that increased understanding, there would be increased feeling, affect. As we've gotten to know your story more, we've grown more and more enraged. I know I speak for my team on that one, and more saddened. And so it would only make sense that as you grew to understand your own story more and see more, you have your mind blown more and more as you've aged over what mom did and the impact that you would have stronger feelings. Well, what's happening with those feelings? I basically asked you, and you said, well, I've grown to understand Mom and have compassion for her, which tells me you just stuffed the shitty feelings down. You haven't unlocked the deepest, harshest stuff. And what I would offer is the reason you can't forgive yourself is because you can't allow yourself to put the blame where the blame belongs. Well, that one's on Mom.
Yeah, you're right. I do see. Yeah.
And I want to know, what is it? Let's assume in the United States, we have a lot of people have what's called a gun safe. A gun safe is this, oftentimes it's like 6 feet tall, and it is like an old school giant safe, like would be in the bank. Like you can't crack these things, all right? So let's assume in the vault that you have kept all your feelings and all your stuff, all the crud from your life that you've been emptying out, and you have emptied out everything in that vault. There's so much of that vault, but there's still a gun safe inside the vault, and inside your gun safe is the real shit that you feel towards Mom, the shit that you haven't touched since the really, really, really toxic shit, like the kryptonite shit that you haven't touched since your journey began 5 years ago. And so what I want to know is, and there's nothing wrong with that, this is something I see a lot, and I could be wrong on this. You may wake up tomorrow and say, you know what? Sven was wrong. He was just off. I'm not resonating with that. I'm not feeling it. And it's okay. That wouldn't be the first time. It's late in the day today, and I've already been wrong 100 times, all right? And so it's okay to reject this, all right? But let's pretend that there is a gun safe, and let's pretend there are some really powerful feelings towards Mom in there. Then my question is, if there are strong feelings of hatred and disappointment and betrayal and rage and sorrow, like the most, more than anything you've felt so far, even potentially, if that is true, what is it you most fear in opening that vault, that gun safe?
That I would probably be more harsh on myself because I should have done better. Like if I see her as a 26-year-old that should have done better rather than just an innocent 4-year-old, I would probably feel even worse about what I've put my children through. Like I really should have stepped the fuck up. I really should have not stayed.
Okay, let's go with that. Let's run with that. That makes total sense. That if I convict Mom, it convicts me.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But has it occurred to you that the reason you're stuck in not being able to forgive yourself is because you're not allowing yourself to feel the fullness of all of your sadness, all of your sense of conviction, all of your sense of feeling like you're disappointed? You've done such a great job of getting so many of those trains moving through the station, all those feelings, getting them out, getting them going. And now all of it has been preparation for the really big ones and allowing yourself to convict yourself, but convicting Mom. But what you're going to find, the one, and that's good because it's getting those, great, let's get those feelings out too. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yeah. But man, if anybody's ready for it, in my opinion, it's you. Look at the work you've already done. Yeah. Really. And I mean that with mad respect. We get a few people on the show. We had Sakura on the show, did the same sort of thing as you. And just did the work and fucking animal. And she fucking did it like you. All right. So mad respect, but it's all been preparation for this. But here's the thing. The one piece you're missing is that she conditioned you. Somebody conditioned her, but that's not your fucking problem. You were a child. You were preconditioned by your mother. And you're in your 40s and you're overcoming that. How could you have possibly in your 20s overcome that on your own? And you couldn't, and you didn't. And you're taking beatings every day and so on and so forth with a man that you were married to. She just kept bringing in new ones. You didn't put your children with a child molester. You did do better. But bottom line is you were preconditioned by her into your 20s, into your 30s. Okay. Bottom line is if you truly want to heal and be better for your kids, I am telling you, as a matter of absolute fact, you get out all the rage towards your mom and allow yourself to feel all the guilt that you feel, because one is going to unlock the other. You get out all the rage, all the disappointment towards your mother, all the hatred that you now fully get. And I guarantee you, and all the feelings that come with it as far as it convicting yourself, I guarantee you that lightness will come. The guilt will lessen. I guarantee it. Because they are so linked together. And the reason you're holding on to the guilt and can't let go of it is because you're afraid to convict your mother. You see they're linked together. But I think you're going to find that once you unlock all the rage towards your mother, you're going to feel so much lighter, not so much heavier. Thoughts, team?
I was just going to ask you if you went to your 4-year-old self today and asked her to forgive you for the way you've parented, do you think she would? Would she have compassion for you?
Yes, I do believe so.
I think so too. And so maybe that becomes part of your work, since she's helped you so much through this journey. Maybe you could just have moments and conversations with her and ask her to forgive you. You've changed, and as a result, you're changing your children's lives. And so that is so much different than what your mother did. Your mother died never having even been able to acknowledge and apologize to you and ask for forgiveness. And that's all she had to do. And sometimes people just can't do that because they're so prideful. They just won't give that to someone. It's not that they can't or they don't know. It's just that they don't want to.
Right.
And so you can't focus on feeling empathy for your mom now. You have to work with your 4-year-old self to have empathy for you. You were a victim. You are changing your victimhood to change your children's lives for the better. And I think you are immensely brave. And there are so few people that are able to get out of and break this chain. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
I want to ask, and Rob, then I'll turn it to you if you have a question or a thought. I want to ask, how old was your mother when you were born?
19. Same age I was when I had my first baby.
Okay, 19. And then you had older brothers or you had younger brothers?
I had a younger brother. I was the eldest of 5.
Eldest of 5. Okay, 19. And so then by the time your mom is 39, which is when you began your sort of healing work to change your patterns, when your mom was 39, you would have been 20. Roughly the same age as your middle child, 2 years ago for your middle child.
Yep.
Right. And your mother passed away at the age of what?
61, 62.
Right.
Yep.
So just out of curiosity, which was the greater crime for you? That she did all that shit all those years? Or that she never fucking acknowledged it and apologized for it and owned it?
That she wasn't accountable.
After the fact, as an adult.
Yep.
Precisely.
I approached her. Yep. Just
Precisely.
12 months before she died, I approached her, and she was not truly accountable.
Right. Right. So
Yep.
who so far has done infinitely more for their children, you or her?
Me.
Because at the very least, it's like you stand up, you take your fucking medicine.
Yes.
Rob, thoughts?
Don't know why she hesitated to say me in that case. I'm so impressed with Sybil's courage, with her strength. And this is a matter of degree as far as I'm looking at it. This is one of the most extreme cases of healing from one of the most extreme situations we've ever heard on this show. And it's just greatly impressive to me.
It's been hard work.
What was the hardest part?
Probably going back, and because it took about 6 to 12 months to go back and relive every traumatized event. And I tell you, I've got the memory of 16 elephants. So I really relived them events like they were. I can remember like what month and how old I was. Certain things happened. So I really relived them deeply, and watched my little girl self go through that shit again. Even with me by her side, I had to watch her go through that again.
Yes. Wow. If as we said earlier, if there is a gun safe, so to speak, inside the vault, and the vault door is open now because you've cleaned it out. There's no need to keep it locked down. You accept that gun safe. If there is a gun safe, and if it is loaded with all the real deepest, darkest, heaviest, most powerful shit towards mom, what would you say is the biggest thing you have the most powerful feelings towards mom for? And I'm not talking about powerful feelings of love and hugs and rainbows out your butthole. Yeah. What do you think that is the single biggest thing? If there's something in that vault, in the gun safe, that you hate your mother for the very, very most, what is at the very top of the list? If there's something in there, what would it be? What's top of the list?
Choosing her over me, over our siblings, not choosing us, not choosing me. Not choosing me, not giving a damn shit. That her feelings were far more important than ours.
And how did that manifest itself the most? Her choosing herself, when or how did she choose herself most over you?
She chose these men. Like, I'd ask her to leave these men, and she'd literally say to me, it's okay for you. You get to move out when you're 18, and then I'm the one that's going to be left all alone. I would literally beg her as a 10 and 11-year-old and tell her, this man is not good for you. This man is not good for us children. And she'd say, like, fuck off. Like, you get to leave here soon, and then what? I'm going to be left on my own. So, and that's where I probably am a little, like, extremely pissed at myself, because I didn't know it at the time, but as a 40-year-old, I realized that I was choosing to be loved by my husband over the safety of my children. So I see huge similarities there.
Oh, for sure.
And he was violent on his children, not me. He was more psychological, emotional on me. But I know that he was violent towards our children to hurt me.
Yeah. And so, right. And so when you were 11, she's 30, and she's telling you, fuck off. I'm going to choose these men, and you've got to endure it. So what is it that, so she was 30 when she's saying these things to you.
Yeah.
Screw it. You only have to endure it till you're 18, and you're 11, she's 30.
Yeah.
What is it in one sentence or less you most want to say to your 30-year-old mother? Because you're 44 now. She's here right now in the room. She's sitting next to me, and she can't say anything back. What do you want to say in light of all this stuff, and in light of what she at 30 is saying to that 11-year-old you? What do you most want?
You, my safety takes precedent over yours, bitch. My safety comes before your fucking need and want to be loved by these dangerous, awful men.
And give me a feeling word for what you feel towards 30-year-old her for doing that. Feeling word.
I'd say angry, but I know it's a secondary emotion, so deeply hurt.
Let's stay on the secondary emotions.
Okay. Fucking pissed.
Fucking pissed. Do you hate your mom for doing that to you again and again and again? What percent?
92%.
Oh, really? Really? So there's just this 8% that just doesn't. You're fucking playing games with me here. But no, I'll let you have your 92. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's
pretty high.
And that's how we roll. All right. Now, in your work, start writing those fucking letters to your mom about the hate, about the deeply hurt, about the, violently pissed, all those feelings. You're there.
I have done, but I must need to do more.
Well, yeah, because now you said yourself, because you understand it now better than you ever did in the past. You've got to scour. You get in that and scrub that pan, that vault. You go in looking for more. You got to go in with the tiger mentality. If there is more in here, I want it. I want to set myself free. I want to feel whatever pain I have caused my kids. I need to feel it. Because you're feeling their pain. Well, then in order to do that, we know how to unlock it. Go back and feel the pain mom caused you and the rage that you feel towards her. Let's just unlock it. For the first time in your life, let's look at all of your life, all of the truth, all of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be afraid
Yeah.
anymore. It's time to live as a grown-ass woman, just looking at all the truth for what it is. And I'll take my lumps and I'll purge it all out, but it's time to look at it all. I'm not afraid anymore. Do you think you can do that?
Yeah.
So let me ask
Yeah.
you, any final questions for me or for the team?
No. I suppose I'm just really scared to have them feelings for my mom and not have them for myself. I really.
Oh,
and that's-
wait a
I think
minute.
that's to be honest with
You just switched it. You just
No.
fucking switched it. Because before you were afraid to have the feelings for mom and then have the feelings for yourself. Now you're saying you're afraid to have the feelings for mom, but not have them for yourself.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, how am I going to like hate my mom, but not at the same time hate me? Like,
How about if you just let yourself feel whatever it
Okay.
is you feel? Don't try to
Yeah.
think it. Just feel it.
Okay.
Allow
Okay.
whatever. This is what it means to live truthfully. To allow whatever feelings you have
Okay.
to come, whatever
Yeah.
they are. You're going to be okay. You have the strength.
Yep.
And if the truth is, what'll be really interesting is if you do feel all those feelings towards mom and not towards yourself,
Yeah.
what that means is maybe you've been blaming yourself the whole time as a cover for blaming mom.
Sven, am I allowed to write letters to myself? Am I allowed to write letters to myself for letting my children down?
No, you're not allowed to do it. Of course
No,
you are.
okay.
Stop it. Come on
Okay.
now. Do
All
it.
right,
Go with your
okay.
own instincts. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And maybe that's probably what I need to get rid of. I probably need to write letters to myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Mum first.
No, you do it in your
So
own
I
order.
really-
I was teasing you.
Yeah.
You do
I'm
it in your own
upset
order.
with myself.
Okay,
I am. I'm upset with myself.
Wait, you want to go back and yell at your past self? If you need
I
to,
just
do it.
No. Yes, I think so.
It's okay. But then also, after you get all that out of your system,
Yep.
as mom
Yep.
would say, then bring her the compassion. And I hope you're not yelling at a
Yep.
kid version of yourself.
No,
Right, Mom.
no.
All
The
right, so-
26-year-old mother who should have known better.
Understood, but you better in that fucking letter. You also
Yep.
better come and in that letter understand and remember all the 26-year-old girl was going
Yes.
through.
You just know, Sven, that 26-year-old mums have more power than 7-year-old little boys.
Indeed, no doubt about it.
You taught me this.
That's true. All right, but don't you dare unleash hell on 26-year-old you and then go all understanding of mom. Oh, namaste. Oh, kumbaya.
Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
I was just going to say that maybe part of her work is writing letters to her kids where she's apologizing, but apologizing in a way that you never send the letter. But maybe it's more like, I really fucked up. I was a fucked up mother. I did everything wrong. And, that kind of letter where you're just unleashing some of this guilt that you're carrying around.
Yes.
While at the same
Good
time,
idea.
asking your 4-year-old self to help you forgive yourself.
Have you
I like that idea, Casey.
have you watched that video from Christmas of 2023?
Yes.
Okay,
The one of
great.
you in the snow.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Because there I give the suggestions. Any final words from the team?
Just that she's doing great and
Yeah.
she's done more work than most people, more work than I think I could have done. She's crawling out of a big giant hole
Yeah.
and you're doing great.
Yeah, and actually
Thank you so much.
you're crawling out and we sort of threw you back in because there's more to do.
Yeah,
but
thanks.
but you know you know what to do. You know what you got to do.
I knew there was more to do when I was writing to you.
Yeah. You couldn't have written that in the letter and sort of cued me in here. You made me work for it today.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, Sybil, you have been such just a real inspiration. You really are. I consider it a success story, really, to Rob's point.
100%.
Yeah, real success story.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and just keep doing the work. Again, the goal is just get everything out. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm going to bring it all out. Let the chips fall where they will. And I think what you're going to discover is you're a whole lot lighter. And it's the process now. It's really going to surprise you what happens now once you bring it all out. So on behalf of my team, I know that we thank Sybil very much. On behalf of everyone listening, we say thank you to Sybil. And to all of our listeners around the world, we thank you for tuning in. Have a kick-ass day. And just like Sybil, slay your demons.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.